You're listening to Under the Shell Podcast. After all these years, still the best in America.
Welcome to Under the Shell, presented by Inside the Black and Gold. I'm Brendan Weissel.
Should we say Testudo? And I'm Sam Jane.
And Michael Big Mike House.
And today...
Wow, Big Mike House made a return for the final episode.
Today, we're bringing back Big Mike. We're also bringing in a new character of Under the Shell, a double identity. We're talking to the man under the hood, I guess you could say, under the beak of the Testudo mascot at the University of Maryland. Brendan Weissel, our lovely producer and co-host, revealed that for the past 4 years he has been one of the many hidden creatures on UMD's campus that partake as a mascot. Brendan had his big reveal across a lot of social media platforms. I feel like I
hit them all, dude. I hit as many as I could.
This guy hasn't stopped posting about it since the reveal, but it's all due to a very well-deserved, I think, celebration of Brendan. So for this episode, we wanted to give you guys an authentic look at what Under the Shell is and what we intended this podcast to be, and really go under the shell, literally, pun intended, and figure out some of the stories from Brendan's time as Testudo. So I guess we should first start off with some of your background. You obviously have a little bit of family history with Testudo. Tell us about why you were so passionate about becoming the mascot when you got to College Park.
Well, this is sweet, guys. I feel like Under the Shell podcast does really, really good job at interviewing, so it's kind of fun to be on the other side of the spectrum here, getting interviewed by you guys. But so my brother was Testudo. He came to Maryland in 2016 and graduated in 2020. He graduated during kind of that weird COVID time. So it was like he never really got this run of doing some of his final events and having senior days and getting to get his kind of big reveal and wear the hands and feet at graduation. So, when I originally came to Maryland, I kind of knew that it was a possibility that I would, be able to join the Testudo team, but I really had no idea if it was going to be a possibility. There were not tryouts in the fall, so I obviously came to campus fall of 2022. There weren't tryouts till the spring of 2023, and I think it was pretty widely known amongst my friends that my brother was Testudo, and that if given the opportunity, I would love to do the same thing. Which I totally shot myself in the foot by telling so many people that for a semester of college that my brother was Testudo and I wanted to do this. And then I tried out in April, I believe, of 2023 and made the team. And I think the first event I got to go to as a handler was Maryland Day in 2023. And then didn't end up working any events or getting in suit until, the fall of 2023. So I got to do some social media stuff before then, but I really didn't start. I really got 3 full years and a little taste at the beginning of freshman year.
So I guess walk me through, what does a tryout to be Testudo look like?
Yeah, there's a couple different aspects of it. There's an in-suit portion where we kind of just go over what the team rules are and what you kind of need to know. There's thousands of different scenarios that Testudo is going to be in. There's no right answer, right? If a drunk fan comes up to you, there's no one right way to react to that. So putting people in a position to, respond to what would you do if a drunk fan comes up to you? What would you do if a little baby is holding on to your foot? What would you do if, there's an opposing fan who's yelling at you and saying weird stuff? All these type of things you can imagine that happens to Testudo. As I said, no right answer. We just kind of want to see what people's improv skills are and how they respond. And then there's a lot of hey, how well can you move in suit? How well do you fill it out? Can you dance? Can you do stuff like that? Can you have a lot of energy? And then we try to see if people know the Maryland traditions and all that type of stuff. So, seeing what their kind of knowledge is of Maryland sports, what their knowledge is of that. So there's an in-suit portion of the tryout, tons of different scenarios you go through. And then also there's an interview process like anything that would, a regular, why are you qualified for this job? We ask a bunch of ridiculous questions like that, just trying to figure out honestly, the biggest thing about being a mascot is improv and thinking on the fly. So it's hey, I might ask you a weird question. I think we asked this year, if you were a vegetable, what vegetable would you be? And there's what a dumb question, but it's just seeing what your answer can be to something on the fly. Before we get back to the show, here's a quick word from our sponsor. The catalyst to the game is brought to you by Catalyst Hot Dogs. Catalyst brought the Jersey Dog to the DMV, featuring premium dry-aged Black Angus all-beef hot dogs made in Maryland, served with handmade toppings including hot onions, relish, and their signature Texas chili sauce. And don't miss their original garlic knot dogs. Catalyst always offers vegan dogs as well as gluten-free buns. Shout out gluten-free buns, because Catalyst has food for everyone. Find them in CQ Stadium in Section 14 and the Xfinity Center in Section 210. Tell the people a hot dog is a sandwich. All right, now here is more Under the Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume whenever somebody's in this suit, they're bringing their own sort of personality to Testudo. So when you were in the suit, what would you describe the Brendan Weissel Testudo personality and aura?
Yeah, my thing is that I love sports obviously so much, and it's hard to describe how much I love athletics, and definitely like had a passion for bringing that to Testudo and specifically Maryland athletics. So my shtick was always like knowing who the athletes were. So like if I saw an athlete on campus when I was Testudo, like I would, if they were on the golf team, I would like do a golf swing, or I would like act like I was kicking them a soccer ball, stuff like that. I was never gonna be the best dancer. I was never gonna be the best doing improv or like, going down low and like, saying hi to a kid. Like I was never going to be the best at that, but I think bringing a lot of energy and bringing a lot of excitement was going to always be kind of my shtick, and having that type of thing. Like I think I'm the best at working football games because I have a lot of energy and decent athleticism where I can run out in front of the team and like do stuff like that. We did a video of me running out with like a 360 cam with the team in the middle of kind of like their run out, which was awesome. And like that was something that not everybody on the team would be like able to do, but that was my shtick, is like having good energy and knowing who the athletes were.
So take me through the logistics of being Testudo, right? You get the role, whatever that may be. It's kept a secret, right? So that you're not allowed to tell anybody. Like you're basically signing an imaginary NDA somewhat. You get it, you accept it. How much work is it? Like, what does a typical day as Testudo look like? Like, there's what, 3 to 4 people who are in suit, per year? Like, what is kind of the day-to-day operation of a Testudo mascot per se?
Yeah, the team's gotten bigger kind of over the years as we've grown and tried to do more events, but we have practices once a week where we try to all look uniform. So there's obviously a height requirement. I think right now it's a little bigger. It's like 5'6" to 6'2". I think that was the most recent tryout. Just try to get more people to join. Have a larger base of people who could join. But you get the role, and we practice to try to have everybody look uniform. So practice is definitely a part of it.
So is uniform that you're in the Testudo outfit?
No, uniform meaning like if I was in suit versus, like Luke or Izzy, who were the other seniors that graduated, like you wouldn't be able to tell.
Gotcha.
Because we have a specific walk that we do. We have certain hand motions we want to do. Like you'll see a lot of time Testudo will like rub the nose. Like that's things like that, which we've tried to make uniform. We practice all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So so that's a part of practice. But a funny thing about mascotting is we learned this at mascot camp, which we went to in Wisconsin in the summer, is that, only 15% of mascotting is actually being in suit and performing. And there's 85% of mascotting, which is, doing social media or, doing suit repairs or making a costume or, learning dances or learning stuff outside of suit that then goes into the game day performance. And a lot of that is like logistical stuff, like working with marketing, like, okay, Testudo is going to be here at this time out and doing this. A lot of stuff that like sure is a pain, but we have to kind of all be on the same page on that. Who's going to work what quarter? If we're doing a skit with the band, if we're doing, something with the dance team, we have to practice all that stuff. And that is what a lot of our time goes into. But then also Testudo does a ton of private events where on-campus and off-campus organizations can book Testudo to do events. That's how we make money. And, I probably worked over 150 of those in the past 3 years. Anything from, today I did an event at the University of Maryland Medical Systems Hospital in Baltimore and stuff like that to, the business schools having an event on campus to all types of things we see Testudo. A lot of those are actually private events. So, that took up a ton of time. My role in the team has increased over time. I've been the captain for the past year. So that means just like being in charge of organizing all the events and kind of calling all the shots and creating costumes, stuff like that, kind of just having the final say. But I think I probably spent at least 20 hours a week doing Testudo stuff, if not more. And it was definitely I was definitely mascot student athlete is what I would like, or mascot student would be the way I would have organized it in the past year.
Yeah. Being Testudo, I'm curious what it was like for you. Your Testudo, part Brendan Weissel. Another part of Brendan Weissel is podcaster, host of the Under the Shell podcast, also involved in other campus media such as TSC. How did you balance those two things where you're on the mic one night, you got to say some critical points about maybe Mike Loxley and the football team. The next day, you got to go and cheer on and be the mascot for the football team. How did you balance those two?
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like the home, like the whatever senior day game, Michigan game. Like I worked pregame. Like I'm the one who fist bumped Loxley before Terp Alley, but also like obviously did this podcast every week. To me, like it definitely was a weird position, and I thought a lot about it for the past 2 years. It was kind of like, I hope this all works out, and no one ever really gets that mad, and nothing ever really happened. I think the funny thing was like, it's not me. Like that's why I thought. Like it's not me doing those things. So like, yeah, I'm in suit, but it's really Testudo. So I know the right things to do for kind of both aspects of it. And like, same for like working for the Diamondback, same for working for TSC. Like I'm doing the same things that journalists would have done. And I think I can get away with that because, and I know I could, because it was Testudo doing all that stuff, not really me. As I started to meet a lot more people in like marketing or in athletics and stuff like that, it became slightly harder just because I knew more people found out that I was Testudo. And so that like just complicated things. But at the end of the day, like as I said, it really wasn't me.
I mean, that's just the selflessness that you love to hear.
You guys laugh, but it's true. It's Testudo. It's Testudo. Like
It's just funny to hear. You're saying that's not me. That's Testudo. Like it's just a funny thing to hear.
No, I understand why you're laughing. Objectively funny.
I wanted to ask you, kind of in a similar vein to what Mike said. Part of being Testudo, I think, is being able to uplift a fan base that's been mired in misery for so long. You talked about having to be at a lot of tough games, a lot of tough situations. How can you, as a mascot, because everyone loves Testudo, right? It's all people. I haven't met a single person who's like, yeah, screw Testudo.
Thank you.
But you're not Testudo, remember? But when things go bad, how is a mascot, like, what is your job? Because you see Testudo a lot of the times being like, if something bad happens, like you have to balance that sort of fan, but also like bringing still like a little bit of light and positivity. That's got to be tough. So I'm curious how you went about that. What was kind of the strategy of the mascots?
Yeah, in my mind, Testudo is the number one fan of Maryland athletics and university in general. So if a pick six is thrown, like Testudo should be pissed about that, because you shouldn't do that. You should try to score a touchdown. Like it's very simple stuff where Testudo should be the person who's like leading the student section and being the most hyped person, but also like have the sense that like if something's going bad on the field or in a basketball game, like their energy, like Testudo's energy should kind of reflect that. There was a couple basketball games this year where we're getting blown out, and I think like Testudo, like when I was when I was working, I was just like, this sucks. Like this is not fun. Last year was really fun, and like Testudo's kind of reflect that in the sense of like not running up and down the student section as much, just like maybe being chill and watching the game and trying to do other stuff as opposed to like hype up the crowd, because it doesn't really matter how loud the defense chant is if you're down 30. I think the other thing to remember though, and this was actually a piece of advice and kind of just like kind words that Jim Smith gave us when we kind of met with him as a team, which is that Testudo always goes 1-0. So I think is a really good piece of advice. Like Testudo's not playing a game. Like at a football game, we have a job to do, which is to do like, other stuff to hype up the fans, to engage the crowd, to do X, Y, and Z and do whatever. And so like Testudo is always going to go 1-0, even if Maryland football is playing poorly. So I think that's important to remember. And I think we tried to embody that in the sense that like, yeah, we're going to get upset when bad plays happen, but also there's a ton of fans who are at this game who are just there to experience a football game, and Testudo's part of that. And if Testudo's like very sad and over exaggerating the disappointment, then you're doing them a disservice.
You mentioned as Testudo, you estimated about 150 events you went to.
That's just private events. I probably worked 300 total events in the
Yeah,
past
so
3 years.
300
Is my
total
guess.
events. You're probably interacting with a lot of people, some notable alumni, some notable Terps fans. So over your time as a mascot, what are some of the coolest interactions you've had?
Yeah, got to do. I think my favorite single interaction or moment was with Quincy Wilson on the sideline. He was here for his official visit and just kind of messed with him a little bit and like did a little pose like we were, starting a track meet. That was super cool. I didn't know he was gonna be there, and just like literally as Testudo saw him, I was like, oh, like Quincy's here. Austin might have pointed it out. Who's one of the photographers who we actually talked to a couple weeks ago. Like, oh, Quincy's here. Like, you should get a photo. That was super cool. Done stuff with Wes Moore. Done stuff with Thea LaFond, who was another Olympian. Just kind of like random run-ins where it's good to have Testudo in spots next to celebrities because it does really well on social, which is something I cared about a ton. Like the Testudo Instagram is actually my baby and my child, and like I've run the Testudo socials with the help of other people, but pretty much exclusively, like kind of I've overseen them since the start of when I joined the team. Since April 2023, I've had my finger on that button.
You said you've done stuff with Wes Moore before. Did they like put Testudo through a metal detector and pat him down? Like, what was the protocol for this?
No, I did a video at the State House like a couple months ago. Testudo was there as well, doing other like March Madness videos. Wes Moore like comes to games once in a while. We definitely probably did have to go through a metal detector, but just like funny like videos with him, and just like seeing him at games as well, which is cool, and got to chat with him out of suit for a second, which was funny.
That's awesome. For me and Michael, like I think we've known now. I probably found out, I would say sophomore years when I knew. And so there would be games that Brendan wasn't really texting us, and you kind of would put two and two together that Brendan might be working that game. But for our audience, give us your top 3 games that you've ever worked. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a Maryland win, but if there was a memorable moment that came out of it, something awesome that happened, what would be some games that stuck out to you?
As I said, definitely like doing football games the most, just because there's the most people and they're fun. But number 1 is definitely the USC football game. So as I said, my brother was on the team. We let alumni actually come back and get in suit for homecoming each year. Okay. So the USC game 2 years ago, so the USC game 2 years ago, Brad and I both worked. He worked the second quarter. I worked the first quarter.
Do you usually,
which was just,
or do you work the whole game like a normal game?
Football depends on the game. Usually we have 4 people or 5 people get in suit. Sometimes this year we had like some games this year we had 6 people get in suit, just like broken up by halves or quarters or like halftime. It just like totally depends on what the marketing script is for that game.
Yeah,
where we need Testudo, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But usually
not to get in there. Yeah,
it was so cool. It was funny because he was like, obviously I'd seen him at so many games, but I never worked a game with him. So like him getting to handle me getting to like be the handler of him was really, really cool. It was just funny. So that game was sweet. Obviously Maryland won that game and it was awesome. And then I think my second favorite game ever would definitely be the Wisconsin game. In fact, for those who know Maryland football very well, that was the last game they ever won, which was in September, which is ridiculous.
Playoff bound, baby.
I was thinking about this today. Is the USC game the last home Maryland Big Ten game that they've won? Yeah. How was that possible?
It's tough. I mean, at least the fans got to rush the field. Were you Testudo when they rushed, or no? Were you out?
I was not. I'm actually. You can see me in the background. A lot of the photos, like taking videos of Testudo. It was actually Luke Hansen, who also revealed earlier this week or earlier last week. So he was in suit for that, which was super cool. Definitely his favorite moment, I think. But the Wisconsin game was the game I traveled for this year. And it was super cool because, one, I was like, oh my God, Maryland football might be back. We might be insanely good this year. That game was crazy, like 10-point underdogs, I think. I predicted for us to lose, and I was on the field as Testudo. I was like, oh my God, I completely blundered. But the best part was I was doing like a skit with the Wisconsin mascot.
Yeah.
During either the fourth quarter, like it was with Bucky the Badger. It was really funny. I went over, like made a turtle soup joke or something. But the best part is that a lot of their students had still stayed because it was like right after jump around, and obviously people stay for that. And they were all just like, boo, like saying a lot of inappropriate things to Testudo, and it was really funny. And I was like, keep pouring it on. Like we're up 20 points. Like I want to hear it. So that was probably my favorite moment, just being like, we're up 20. There's nothing you can say to me that'll make me upset. Like, this is awesome. So
that's great.
that was cool. And then my third favorite game was probably the Johns Hopkins men's lacrosse game last year when they won the rivalry. I really wanted to hold that huge crab trophy, which was sick. So I got to hold that trophy, which was really, really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've mentioned 2 football games. I want to hear what a day in a life as a football, like for a football game as a mascot is. So what time are you waking up? Like, just give us the speed breakdown of like your 24 hours.
Yeah, let's say it's a noon game. Terp Alley is usually 2 hours and 15 minutes, or 2 hours and 45.
You should ask Mike. He's
I
a
don't-
big Terp Alley guy. Watch him.
Mike,
walk
when's
off
Terp
the
Alley?
bus.
Like honestly, I should know this. Like,
Terp Alley is about 2 hours before
Yeah,
kickoff.
Mike. I knew you know that, Mike.
Mike, why do you know that?
I was at every single home Terp Alley, bro.
Michael,
Are you serious?
you guys were probably working a couple Terp Alleys together.
Speaking,
Oh,
of,
I saw Mike at a lot of Terp Alleys.
speaking of the Wisconsin game, I remember Testudo was not coming close to me when I was on the field pregame. He was not trying to talk to me. Testudo
Yeah.
was not coming near.
This dude had no
Yeah.
interest in his podcast co-hosts.
Honestly, Testudo could not see you, probably. Not like, dude.
So B, you're getting up.
Testudo can't see. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
So you're getting up at what? Probably like 7 then to work Terp Alley, and then once the game, you do get into.
No. Okay, if it's a noon game, I'm trying to find one of the like sheets that we worked for, like you know,
Yeah,
looking at like the when the game
the
was. But
agenda.
it's about yeah. So we if the game's at 12, we probably varsity team house is like kind of where our locker room is on game days. We probably get there like 4 hours before kick. We have to move the flags down to the field and then work Terp Alley, work pregame. Usually we go before Terp Alley. We have pregame. That's all like 3 hours before the game. Terp Alley, whatever, 2 hours, 45 minutes, 2 hours half before. Then we go to Fan Fest, which is like the thing they started this year in Jones Hill House for fans. The team walks through there, so Testudo will be there for a bit. Then we have a golf cart and we just go into tailgates. And depending on the day, if we need to go to a certain tailgate, there's like a donor or something, we'll go to that. But mostly it's just where there are people having fun, and we'll drive around to those places and, you know, do tailgates. And then we have first half, flag drops obviously between the first and second quarter. That's the main thing, and run out. I think the most enjoyable part of the football game is usually before the game. I'm not just saying that because the score is tied. I'm just saying that because it's like when all the recruits are kind of near the shell and all the, you know, donors and all the famous people are over there. So that is usually like, I loved working the first quarter or run out because you just kind of feel like the man being around all those people. And then
I'm not saying that because the score is tied is a crazy bar.
I mean, its score is tied. What are we supposed to do?
Hey,
Act like Maryland football was good this year?
Score's not tied, B, because Testudo's always 1-0.
Testudo's up 1-0, but the Maryland football's tied. So we do that, and then first half, we have halftime, second half. During the third quarter, Testudo goes to the president's suite, and then usually we stay till the end of the game if it's close, as some home games were this year, and then we would leave, and it's a full day affair.
Do you have like multiple?
The best game night games are the best games because your day starts later, and if it ends at 1, who cares?
Does like everybody have their own suit, or are you just changing in and out, like changing it out of one?
No, we don't have enough suits for everybody on the team to have their own suit.
Okay.
So for like a football game, a couple people would usually have to share.
Yeah.
That's like over the years that I've been on the team, we've gotten more and more gear each year, which has been super helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, B, those are great stories. I want to give you a chance. Obviously this has been a huge part of your college experience, I would imagine. Hopefully not as fun as Under the Shell, but I guess it's right up there. Seems like a great opportunity, but for kids who are coming to Maryland who stumble on this podcast, or someone who listens who's like, oh man, like, I'm a student here, whatever, what would be your pitch for being Testudo and getting yourself involved in Maryland athletics? You're getting to go to all these games, that type of thing. Maybe not headed to the Bob, but you're headed to a lot of stadiums across campus.
Hey, I'll just say this, dude. Testudo will be at the baseball game on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, big win for them today. Paul Jones second.
All right.
Program record, 11 RBI.
He had to find a way. You
gotta be a sick person. You're a sicko, Mike. That's all I gotta say. A sicko. Serious.
But anyway, B, what would be your pitch to kids who are coming into Maryland or who may be thinking about becoming a Testudo? Like, why do it?
Yeah, I would say anybody who wants to try out, if they have made it this far on this podcast, that's good because they've learned some good information. I think anybody who tries out, they usually stalk the internet for information on Testudo, so this will be a good tidbit. But I think it's just by far the coolest thing I'll ever do in my life, which is kind of a sad thing to say because I'm 22 years old. But honestly, there's kind of nothing like it because there's so few students who get to experience it, and because of all the perks of being a D1 athlete and also getting to travel and getting to do all these kind of unique things. There's nothing.
Oh no.
There's really nothing else like it in a college experience. You just get to build so much community at the university from a athletic side, but also just a general university side. I've met so many incredible people doing different events, which is by far kind of the most impactful thing is just like bringing people together. I think that's the most important role Testudo. Like, we've thought a lot about like why do universities even have mascots, and it's to spread joy and it's to bring community together. So those would be the two things. You get to be the biggest cheerleader for athletics, but also you get to be a connector. And I think that's anybody who has an opportunity would be foolish to pass up on that.
That's great stuff from our local Testudo. So, B, whenever I come back to campus, I'm going to see Testudo running around, and I will always picture you under the shell, even though it might not be. But we really appreciate you. I can promise you this is the last episode of Under the Shell for the foreseeable future. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some bonus episodes here over the next few years. But
if Loxley gets fired, emergency pod.
Yeah, has to happen. But we really appreciate everybody for listening. If you tuned into this bonus episode, you guys are true, awesome supporters. We thank you so much. We did all of our teary goodbyes last week, so we won't bore you with that again. But I just want to say this podcast will forever live on in my heart, forever live in these guys' hearts. And we hope that if you just tuned into one episode, if you listened to 100, you got a good experience getting to hear us talk about Maryland athletics, and you learned something about somebody. So we really appreciate you. And for one final time, have a great rest of your evening. Don't forget to listen Under the Shell.
You're listening to Under the Shell Podcast. After all these years, still the best in America.